Good Thursday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network, presented by Crazy Fast Ting Fiber Internet, the best internet powering the best network in the market, folks. Save $288 on Ting Fiber Internet only through ilovecville.ting.com. This is a busy show, crammed with information. Vanessa Parkhill, welcome to the broadcast. 5 states on the show already. Jamie Darman, welcome to the show. City Hall of Charlottesville, welcome to the broadcast. Here's what we're going to do. We have 3 heavy hitters on the program. We'll welcome Keith Smith in about 30 seconds to answer some of the questions that showed up on my personal Facebook page. Frankly, the post I did went viral. I mean, it went absolutely viral on the land trust and the telethon that we're trying to do. As of this morning, I think it had 97 comments in less than 12 hours. And you look at the post reach, which is something we can do because I have rights that others don't have with Facebook, with what we do as an advertising agency. The post reach on my Facebook page, just the one post about the telethon and the land trust was seen over 30,000 people. So why don't we do that and welcome Keith Smith on the line, friend of the program, the star of Real Talk, which airs tomorrow on the I Love CVille Network at 10:15. Keith, you are live. Thank you for joining us at a special time. I thought it was important after seeing all these questions come through on the thread after the post I did on my personal Facebook page. First, good afternoon. Second, the show is yours, my friend. Anywhere you want to go.
Well, good afternoon. Over my right shoulder, you can see this Ting sticker at our office. So we're firing on all 12 cylinders on Ting. So we love those guys over here, the Crazy Fast Internet. Well, and then I just want to say thank you for pushing out. As those who watch Real Talk know that my Better 7/8 is up in Connecticut. So I'm trying to hold the fort down on work and try to respond to text or to Facebook messages. So first and foremost, I just wanted to thank everybody for the energy that they've put in and the taking the time to ask questions. Frankly, there's a ton of them. We're going to attack them tomorrow, or we're going to try to answer them tomorrow in detail.
No, we're going to answer them today. We're going to answer them today. There's no question we're going to answer them today, because that's the whole point of this interview. We're going to definitely answer those today. So here's the first question that I'm going to throw to you. The specs on the house. What kind of size are we looking at from a housing standpoint here?
Got it. Perfect question. 1,500 square foot, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2-story home. They're duplexes. Actually, on Nassau, it's going to be on 10th and West. One of them will be detached because of the way the lot is configured. So there'll be two duplexes and one that's going to be standalone.
So can we say that what could be built on 10th Street Northwest is absolutely identical to Nassau?
It is identical to Nassau.
Okay.
We are reproducing exactly the same home.
And that's Christopher Bremett, the man behind that, right? Bremonti?
He was one of our partners, so we're very fortunate. We put together a ton of partners to help us with that, and the list is very long. If you go on to the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust.org website, you can see who was the folks that helped us with this, from Segura all the way down to the excavator on the project. We leveraged, frankly, I leveraged 30 some odd years of relationships to help us solve this problem. Look, there was a couple of questions on the feed, and this story as better as anybody, or my saying that, not a silver bullet's going to solve this crisis, right? It's a silver buckshot. We just happen to be maybe 2 or 3 of those multi-silver pellets that come out here. There's a lot of other folks, a lot of other agencies, and nonprofits and for-profits and governmental folks are trying to do this, but we do what we do well, and we're just frankly moving the ball forward. We're actually, instead of talking about it, we're actually doing it.
The telethon is a week from tomorrow, the 12th of February. We're going to try to raise minimum $150,000 so we can do 5 units on 10th Street Northwest. If we can hit $300,000, then the piece of property in Carlton and Monticello intersection comes into play for 11 units of affordable housing. So Lloyd Snook is watching the show. Lloyd is commenting on the thread as well. he ran some numbers, and I appreciated the numbers he ran. He goes, look, with taxes and insurance, you're probably looking at about $1,000 a month for a price point like this, and you own the structure. Keith, from my standpoint, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, Lloyd is close. It may be a little bit one way or the other on that, so you'd need to do principal, interest, taxes, and insurance on it. So, but it's around $1,000 plus or minus. I didn't run the numbers, so I will take Lloyd numbers as gospel. I frankly haven't ran them to quote him.
Here's a new question that just came in via Twitter. So we're now streaming this show, guys, to 3 times the social media platforms that we were doing last week. We upgraded our technology, and the show is live on Twitter, and we're seeing interaction here. Is there a down payment needed, distinguished gentlemen?
Yeah, so there is. So there will be down payment assistance that we will be able to work with Piedmont Housing Alliance, and then our funding partner, which is Fulton Bank, has assistance on. For the purchasers that we did on Nassau Street, there was no down payments. We were able to raise the down payment for them.
How about, and you answered this extremely well, Elena Mangione from Mangione's on Main was asking about HOA and condo fees.
Yeah, no. So we use this verbal visual of what this is, because it's somewhat complicated, right? We own the land, right, and lease the land in a 99-year lease or 90-year lease back to the property owner, and the buyer buys the home that's on top of it. And the best way, it's not a condo, right, because it's not, but it's just a purchasing or an ownership model that I use to try to explain it. We retain ownership of the land, the buyer retains ownership of the property, and because we retain ownership of the land, so in the state of Virginia, everything goes with the land, we can now guarantee that these homes will be forever affordable. And that's what makes our model very unique. These are forever affordable homes. They're not one deep, right? Where somebody buys it now, captures the discount, and sells it. Now, these folks can sell it. They capture the equity. If whatever equity that is in the home, it's all there, and they get to keep it. But the restriction is that it must be sold to another 80% or lower AMI. Now, at 80% AMI sounds a little high, frankly. So the folks over in Nassau Street, the average is around 60% AMI. That's really what we're trying to shoot for. But from a bylaws perspective and the way we function, it cannot exceed 80% AMI.
Go ahead.
I think the question was what's the future sale look like? And the simplistic answer is, the buyer at 80% or below is going to kind of keep the sales price at a certain point, if that makes any sense.
Throw this to you. This is open-ended. It's a broad question. Okay. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
My wife says.
Everybody has their own definition of affordability and affordable housing.
Really?
And it's such a nebulous, fluid phrase, affordable housing. From my standpoint, what you guys are trying to do of the land trust, brand new homes, roughly 1,500 square feet, in the neighborhood of 200 to 215K, within walking distance of everything in the city of Charlottesville, solar power, net zero, with some green space in the background. I mean, this is the definition of affordable housing. My fear is perfection is becoming the enemy of good here when it comes to affordable housing.
So, as you know, I also chair the Regional Housing Partnership, and the debate of the definition of affordable is a tough one to tackle. We're actually starting to tackle that, because what affordable means to me may mean something different to you. We follow the HUD definition, and the HUD definition is 80% AMI. So this is a federal definition, and the range of percentage of area median income goes back and forth. Look, at the end of the day, our organization, the way we operate, we're built very well to function this. And as you know, we're about ready to finalize our partnership and joint venture with Piedmont Housing, which is really going to be able to ramp what we do up big time and try to address a lower AMI. But at the moment, the way we're structured, that's kind of how we are. We work really well. We do well somewhere between the 15 to 80% AMI. When it gets below that, we're just not that pellet, right? That silver pellet. There's other organizations, and that's why we're partnering with Piedmont Housing, so we can try to get a wider swath of this AMI or this affordable housing buyer. But look, at the end of the day, we're producing, right? That everybody's been taught, and I don't mean this to be about us or me or anybody. We're just trying to do this. This is volunteer work for me, as you well know. I don't get paid for any of this, right? But what we're trying to do is give back to the community and make some homes available for folks, so folks can have the dream of home ownership.
I love it. It's an absolute clear-cut, slam dunk, no-brainer.
But it's not the only one, though.
Sure.
There's other great organizations out there. Habitat, the name one. It's just that we do what we do very well, and our key to our success, or our key to our plan, is the forever affordability. Nobody else really can provide that at the moment.
I agree. I 1,000% agree. And we had the chairwoman of Piedmont Housing on the program yesterday. We have her on every Wednesday, and Crystal Napier. So she joins us on this network every Wednesday. And we talk Piedmont Housing often on her segment here on the I Love CVille Show. All right, so Keith, I mean,
I'm looking forward to that partnership with Crystal and PH and what we do. It's really going to ratchet up what we do up to the next level.
So what do we do here? I mean, we're chomping at the bit to bring units to the market here. We're chomping at the bit.
So it's important that everybody understands the acquisition is only the beginning of this process, right? Right? We can't, we have to own it before we can move forward. And I think somebody asked on the feed, and I can't remember who it was, was the city contributing to this? And they're not. There's no fiscal contribution from the city. There wasn't Nassau Street, but there isn't on this. And look, and we made the decision, frankly, and you were part of that decision, that COVID kind of ravaged everybody's budget. If you watched the work session that the city did yesterday, which I did, it becomes pretty clear that it's going to be a while before there's enough capital to throw our way to go ahead and buy. So we said, okay, instead of sitting around and waiting, we're going to solve this problem, and we're going to reach out to the public. And what is it called? Crowdsourcing? Did I get that right?
Crowdsourcing, you're right.
We're going to crowdsource it. But what happens once we acquire this, we have to go through the approval process through the city, which is going to take some time, right? We've got to get the site plan approved, and there's some, I don't want to get too geeky on it, but there's going to be some work over there. And, at the moment we're focusing on this, but once that gets done, then we can start pulling the trigger to start going what we call horizontal, which is doing the connection to the utilities, and then vertical, which is the building of the home. So our goal is to put people in these homes the end of this year, and I think that's an achievable goal.
My friend, you are A+ people. We'll see this tomorrow. I said this on the show. I said this in the thread yesterday, or actually I said this in the thread today. I'm going to repeat it again. Keith Smith, Greg Slater, Susan Steinmart, and so many people at the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust are busting their ass for affordable housing. Keith does not get paid for these efforts. Neither does Greg Slater. I mean, they're doing this because they care about the community. And I encourage everyone that's watching this program, is the model perfect? No, it's not perfect. But it's pretty darn close to it. And let's not let the mindset of perfect be the enemy of good and keep units from coming to market. Anything you want to add here, my friend?
No, this is going to work. This is going to be great. It's going to be good for the community, good for everybody. It's not for everybody. Some people may not agree with it. When we got the money from the city to do Nassau, there were some folks on the dais, and I'll leave names out of it, that didn't quite agree with it. But when I had an opportunity to sit down with that particular individual afterwards and had a cup of coffee, this was all before COVID, and he understood what we were doing, he actually changed his opinion. So look, it's get educated. If there's anybody who wants to do anything, I'll try my best to do it. But as Jerry said, this is not our primary job. This is not what we do to make a living, frankly. But we will chime in the best we can. But listen to it tomorrow on Real Talk. We'll go into a bit of a deeper dive in some of this stuff.
I appreciate it. You have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, good luck on the show today. Thanks for everything.
Take care. Guys, we'll have Marc from Crozet, our Crozet insider, who's got tremendous experience from a real estate planning, zoning standpoint in about 5 minutes on the program. James King, welcome to the broadcast. The man, part of the family behind King Family Vineyards. So here's why we're talking about this. A week from tomorrow, Friday, February 12th, I'm going to ask everybody in the community for help. Myself and Keith Smith are going to do a 12-hour live telethon from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the I Love CVille Network with the goal of raising first $150,000 so the land trust can buy land off 10th Street Northwest. That will yield 5 units of affordable housing. $150,000, they buy the land, then they get 5 units of affordable housing over there built on it. If we raise $300K, you also get a piece of property purchased through the land trust on the intersection of Monticello and Carlton. $300,000 seems like a lot of money, but if you crowdsource it, it's 6,000 people in the community giving $50 each. Central Virginia in totality is roughly 300,000 people. That means we need 2% of Central Virginia to give $50 each, and the land trust can buy 2 pieces of property and bring 11 units of affordable housing to market, maybe by close of business 2021. I'm going to give you some income qualification requirements that are from the land trust website. For 2020, if you make less than the amount listed for your household size below, then you could qualify. And this is at 80% AMI. Remember, Keith just said the people on Nassau were at 60% AMI. So even more forgiving and even more room if the money's not there. 1-person household, $52,600 or below, you qualify. 2-person household, $60,000 and below, and you qualify. 3-person household, $67,000 and below, and you qualify. And the 4-person household, if the 4-person household is generating $75K a year or below, you qualify potentially for the land trust and some of their specs. Before I welcome Marc to the show, and Marc, we're going to go to you here in a matter of moments. One of the biggest issues that I have with local government, I'm not going to say anybody by name, is the mindset of perfect is the enemy of good. The mindset of this business or this opportunity or this endeavor or this goal that we're trying to pursue, having a mindset where it has to be absolutely perfect for what your vision for affordable housing is or whatever the endeavor is, that is one of the worst mindsets possible. If you run a business, small or medium-sized, that's what I have experience with small and medium-sized businesses, either through my clients or the small and medium-sized businesses that I've owned and started from scratch, from having no money in my pocket, okay? So from my experience of being an entrepreneur, the mindset of this has got to be perfect before we go to market is crippling for a small or medium-sized business. That is not how successful businesses run. So I'd like to get out of that mindset, frankly speaking, and I need to bring this to attention. The mayor has that mindset. It's got to be absolutely perfect to her vision from a real estate standpoint, or she's not going to vote for it. The downfall of that mindset is the following. Are you ready? And then I'm going to bring Marc into the show. Here's the downfall of that mindset. We need more units on the market. If you add supply to the market, that will eventually impact affordability. When your mindset is it's got to be perfect, it limits units from getting onto the market. And by limiting the supply, undoubtedly the price point's going to go up because the demand is through the roof. If you bring more units to market, even if those units are at the Class A level, let's say it's the C&O row houses, okay? The C&O row houses between Beer Run and C&O Restaurant. Those row houses, those brownstones are 4 levels, and they're $1 million and up. Some $1.2 million and $1.3 million. They're banging. People, please realize, when these extremely expensive units go to market, they will have a positive impact on affordability in Charlottesville. You may ask, how does $1.2 million brownstone help affordability in Charlottesville? Because it increases the supply. The folks that can afford the new units that are $1.2 million will buy them. They'll buy them instead of buying maybe the $1 million price point. That means the next level of people buy the $1 million price point instead of the $800,000 price point. That means the next level of people buy the $800,000 price point instead of the $600,000 price point. And it has a trickle-down effect, increasing supply on affordability. This is basic supply and demand. I learned this in Ken Elzinga's economics class as a first year at the University of Virginia. Perfect is the enemy of good. Limiting supply coming to market because it doesn't meet your perfect definition of affordability is how you create a white, rich playground. That's Charlottesville, Virginia. Please understand that. You may think that, okay, this isn't exactly what I want, so let's fight against it. That effort is making this town less affordable. We need more supply, not less supply. I'm going to reach out to Mark, our Crozet insider. I'm going to play an interview we did with Paola Christie, a single mom and a teacher who bought a house through the land trust. And you could see how vulnerable and emotional and genuine and authentic she was in this interview on how the land trust has changed her life and helped her and her daughter build wealth. Mark is on the line. This gentleman, first we're going to need an introduction from him because it's the first time I've gone face-to-face. I've seen him post on social media. His IQ and brain power is off the charts. We will talk shop. Before we talk shop, how about a little introduction to Mark the man first? Welcome to the program, Mark.
Hey, Jerry. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the comments. You're very gracious there, but I'm just a normal guy paying attention to these issues just like you.
I like that, and that's why he's on the show. He's a normal guy who's engaged in paying attention to Crozet. How about an introduction, Mark? Who are you, the person first, and then we'll talk shop.
Yeah, so again, Jerry, my name's Marc McKenney. Moved to Crozet in 2018. Been down in Central Virginia since 2011. The Army brought me here on active duty, and then growing family. We outgrew our first house in Greene County and visited Crozet every weekend with Polo and the breweries and some other friends out here. And we decided this is where we wanted to end up.
Well, how about your background from a school standpoint?
Yeah, so, typical 18-year-old kid thinks he knows what he wants to do with his life, joins the Army, gets an associate's degree in criminal justice, a bachelor's in criminal justice, and then I realized I don't want to do any of that for work. So again, went active duty in the Army and then used my GI Bill spent about 5 years working on my master's in public administration from Penn State University.
Okay, so now we'll talk shop here. Where you live is freaking bursting at the seams in Crozet, Virginia. I think that is safe to say. It appears, and we certainly know it's going to burst even more as some of this new development comes to market. Let's start with an open-ended question, and you give kind of a state of the union for Crozet, Virginia, And then I got specifics for you.
Yeah, so, hey, look, Crozet is a beautiful town. The mountains right behind King Family Vineyards and along going 81 going through it, it's just beautiful scenery. It's a great family town. It reminds me a lot of where I grew up in New England, the old railroad tracks going through. There's a real strong sense of community. Now, I'll be the first one to say, hey, I'm probably part of the problem also. I bought a house and moved to Crozet, all right? But at some point, planning and growth have to mirror each other. And that's the piece that we're missing. And when my wife and I were researching where we wanted to move to in the county, we pulled up a plan. We looked at what is the county's plan for the future for this area. People at least I hope so, are comfortable with growth, okay? But it seems that growth has just started running at 100 miles per hour with everything else probably a minimum of 10 years behind where the growth is today. And I'll pause there to let you keep going.
I think he's 100% right. All right, schools first. Give us the take on schools here, because you and your wife are talking about this, right?
Yep. So, look, and in fact, Jerry, this morning I was pulling up some of the county and the school board's stats on schools. So, their 2019 capacity versus enrollment document that the county school board released has a capacity issue, has a building capacity for Brownsville Elementary for 764 students. In the 2018-19 enrollment, there was 817. Okay, Crozet Elementary, where my kids go to school, has a building capacity of 330, and in the 18-19 enrollment was 380. Now look at this. The county's projected enrollment for calendar year 24 through 2024 and 2025 has a student enrollment of 379 kids at Crozet Elementary. So we are already, at that point in time, with these stats, we are 6 years ahead of enrollment. And guess what? Using a $25 million school expansion to Crozet Elementary, which it's needed, but we're 6 years behind the eight ball here. So we're gonna expand Crozet Elementary. We're gonna rezone the two elementaries in the family homes in the neighborhoods to balance it out. But I think we're still at a capacity issue, even after dumping $25 million into expanding an elementary school.
And it's gonna get worse.
And it's going to get worse. That doesn't account for all the developments that they're still doing. They're still building an old trail.
Right. So it's going to get worse. Okay. So this is why we have him on the show here. So what do you do? What would you do?
Oh boy. Hey, look, Marc McKenney's ideas. What would I do, man? I think if I were in the county administrative side of the house, the first thing I would do is do an absolute pause on zoning going forward. We need to just stop the building of these developments and these houses. We've got two massive apartment complexes. You got the view off Jarman's Gap, which my wife and I drove through, and there were 4 vehicles in there. And I don't have the exact number of units, but it's got to be more than 100 units, apartments. You got the Summit apartment complex in Old Trail that they built, which they don't even advertise their apartment prices online. You got to be hundreds in those. And we keep building all these developments in these homes. And at some point, we have to say, we've got to stop and start earmarking taxpayer money to fix some of these infrastructure issues to then support a parallel effort of long-term residential growth and long-term infrastructure growth. You can't have one without the other, and that's where we're at now.
I agree. Did you move to Crozet in part because of the schools?
That was part of our reasoning. Western Albemarle does have
fantastic schools.
High-rated schools. We have lots of friends out here. We were always coming out here anyway. And it was just that nice community town feel that we fell in love with.
So the reason I ask you that is the schools are banging. We all know they're fantastic schools, and they're a lure and appeal for people to bring to this area. So this growth situation is not going to stop. It's only going to snowball because mom and dad always want what's best for Junior. I know my wife and I certainly do for our kid. So throw this to you here. You got 2 apartment complexes that are coming to market now. From my standpoint, and you know Crozet better than I do, I'll cut to the chase. From my standpoint, those 2 apartment complexes in Crozet are extremely needed because you don't have a lot of housing for the person on the totem pole that's not making a ton of money in Crozet. There's not a lot of housing like that exists in Crozet right now. So I think those apartments are needed. The second question I have is, when these apartments come to capacity, when the lumberyard project is finished and whatever happens with that downtown walk and pedestrian area, How do you see Crozet playing out? Because those are three big-time draws there.
All right. Well, I think I think you answer that question in two ways. The first way is, how is it going to play out if the county does nothing? It's going to be a train wreck. All right. Downtown Crozet Initiative Project, and that's, Jerry, that's something I didn't even bring up. That was another reason why my wife and I moved here. It was just this beautiful downtown. So now you impact the traffic of people coming to Crozet. We already have people coming for Pro Renata, Star Hill, King Family, people going to 151 on that route. Now throw in the Downtown Crozet Initiative Project. So another thing I pulled up, Jerry, Crozet Ave. Okay, Crozet Avenue, average daily traffic, right, in last year's VDOT report was 7,900 vehicles a day.
Wow.
Right? Your 250, 64 interchange, 22,000 vehicles on average a day. And your 250 and 240 interchange area, where the county and VDOT want to put in a traffic circle, was 9,800 vehicles a day. All right. So if we don't do anything with the infrastructure issues, those numbers are only going to increase. They're going to increase anyway just because of the residential aspect. So at what point do we break everything? At what point does everything just kind of crumble and people stop moving to Crozet? And now you're going to have the reverse effect you have now. You're going to have more supply in the housing market than demand, right? Because people are going to start leaving, and they're going to start spreading out down to Batesville, possibly up into Whitehall, maybe over the mountain to Waynesboro. I think you had some stats that Waynesboro was like your number 2 area that people are moving to. So that's to answer your question that way. If the county starts investing money towards these infrastructure projects, okay, the roads, some of the developmental areas, I think you'll be able to balance it out. Because my question with the Downtown Initiative Project is, where the heck is everyone going to park? There's no parking. There's no open parking spot to fit 50 vehicles. So we're doing all of this stuff to grow the area, but we're not doing anything to sustain the area. And that's the key word we have to answer, is how do we sustain everything we've just done over the last 20 years?
You are good, dude. This man is engaged and well-read. What am I missing? What am I missing here? What's a topic? Your handsome young man behind you wants to come. I would love if he came in the interview. He's certainly welcome here. It adds a little flavor. Your little boy's over there.
What's up, man?
What am I missing that should be in the news cycle about Crozet that is on your brain?
All right. So one of the things I think that we need to look at, and I've talked to our Board of Supervisor rep, Ann Malik, a few times about this, or not just this specific topic, but Crozet in general. And I think Ann is a wonderful lady. I think she's done very well. But Ann is one of 6 people on the Board of Supervisors. Ann Malik understands what's going on out here. But when these zoning packets keep coming in front of the Board of Supervisors, Ann can vote no all day long. It takes 4 people to say yes. And those 4 people have no dog in the fight out here. They don't deal with it. They don't have to worry about it. Having a degree in public administration, I also understand that's tax revenue for the county. Why would you want to say no? So one of my recommendations is I think we need a 7th member on the board. I think you have to split Whitehall in half, the district that Ann represents. You got a county of almost 100,000 people in this county. I don't know the population for the Whitehall district. And this entire county is 750 square miles. I think we need a 7th member on the board. I don't know if that would actually make a difference. And I think that the board has to have kind of a awakening moment of realizing, if we don't start fixing some of these things and addressing it now, we are putting a lot of unnecessary cost on the taxpayers. So you're going to have folks in Scottsville, Pantops, Forest Lakes area who pay the taxes just like we do, and their projects are going to get delayed for years because they're going to have to earmark millions of dollars into this area. As an example, you got, like I said, Crozet Elementary, $25 million project. The Eastern Ave Connector Road, which isn't built, which has been discussed being built for almost 20 years now, the engineering report that the county just received, I think, had a $25 million price tag on it. So 2 projects just for Crozet at a cost of $50 million. And we're not even scratching the itch.
All right, dude, this guy is fantastic. I definitely will welcome you back on the show if you have the time to join us. You just led me to this question. Is there a bubble on the horizon in the Crozet market?
You know, I've actually been thinking about that for probably a month now. And so, Jerry, I moved into our home in May of 2018. I'm already priced out of my house. I can't afford to move.
Right.
Okay? I can't afford to move. I am priced out of my house.
Explain to people what you mean by that. Explain to people what you mean by that.
The cost of housing in this area has gone up so much that what I paid for my house 3 years ago, I cannot afford it in today's dollars.
Okay. Well said.
I mean, it all goes into your topic of affordable housing, all right? So I can't afford to do anything. So is there a bubble? I don't think there's a bubble, but I think we're going to hit a plateau. Okay, I think the cost of housing is going to go up, and then I think it's just going to stop. And I don't think prices are going to go down because I still believe Crozet is a very desirable area to live in, and I think it will remain that way for a long time. But I don't think it's going to pop. I don't know where all these apartment complexes are, why they're needed. I don't see the economy that correlates to living in an apartment. I don't see that out here.
You're basically saying you don't have a lot of service industry, for example, that's working in the area because there's not a ton of restaurants. Is that what you're referencing?
Well, yeah. I mean, let's not factor in COVID.
Okay.
All right. Let's kind of talk pre-COVID. Restaurants were a challenge out here. Restaurants would be open one day and then close the other. I mean, Far Downers is the go-to spot. You know, everyone's going to Far Downers. I think Pizza Hut closed in town, so now you only got Domino's. You got Crozet Pizza, but these other little mom and pop shops that open up, they haven't lasted long. So I don't see it. You know, other than Harris Teeter, Crozet, Great Value, I just don't see it. Mark,
you made everybody smarter today. Can I reach out to you again and talk more Crozet?
Absolutely.
Okay. I am grateful for your time. This was a refreshing 16 minutes. Thank you for joining us on the show, Mark.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Jerry.
We got Brian Pinkston, who's running for city council next. He's got big shoes to follow after Marc McKenney on the program. Mark, you have a good one, my friend. Brian Pinkston, we're going to reach out to you in a matter of moments. The ace up Crozet's sleeve and what makes Crozet so attractive for so many, especially those that are in the age range of my wife and I and our kid and Mark and his family and their kids, the ace up the sleeve for Crozet is those schools. And the schools in Crozet are amazing. They are amazing. The last thing that you want to do if you're a current Crozetian is have the schools in Crozet become so overcrowded that the performance in those schools begins to erode and the ace up your sleeve loses its value. That's how the Crozet zip code and little niche or little micro market can get vulnerable. You overpopulate the schools to the point where performance is affected from a grade and SOL standpoint, and then that erodes the ace up your sleeve and the value proposition that is Crozet, Virginia. I'm curious of your take on that. Put it in the feed. I'm reaching out to Brian Pinkston. Brian Pinkston, I'm ringing him right now, Judah Wickhauer. I don't have any audio here from Brian, J-Dubs. Is that what you were experiencing last time? Let me see if I can hear you. Brian, can you hear me? Yes, I got you. I love this guy. So this guy is one of the kind souls in Charlottesville, Virginia. You may see, Brian, is it? I want to get this right. Is it a Vespa?
No, it's a Honda Metropolitan.
Okay, you may see him around on his Metropolitan. He's always waving and smiling and saying hello to everybody. He's done a phenomenal job of meeting so many people in this community. His name is Brian Pinkston. He made an announcement yesterday that he's running for city council, and so many people came out of the woodwork, and we're excited for this special announcement. Brian, I'm going to get out of your way. Why you running again? Let everybody know.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate the time and opportunity to be here with you and with all the people that listen to your show. Yeah, I'm running because I feel like I offer a set of skills and experiences, both educational and professional and civic, as well as interests and passions that together would mean that I would be of great value at this point on city council. I think we have a set of counselors that are doing a good job. They care deeply for the community. But I feel like at this point, particularly with some of the other people that are running, that I would be a good partner with folks on council. And particularly given my project management background and given the fact that I ran 2 years ago and got to know the community very well, I think that I add something just in terms of the combination of my skills and background, as well as just the fact that I am interested in the work that would be involved. So those are the reasons, and this seems like a good opportunity with a new city manager in place, with hopefully some stabilization going on, that with the next council, it would be a great opportunity for things to not only stabilize, but to move forward into a great future.
Our guest, Brian Pinkston, this gentleman running for Charlottesville City Council. It's his second rodeo. We have the CVille Weekly, NBC 29, CBS 19, and Daily Progress, all watching the show here with Brian Pinkston. Brian, how about the conversation with the family, the wife and the kids? How did this go? Because this is your second rodeo. The first rodeo, you guys were grinding, so there was a lot of time away from the house. How does the conversation go with the wife? Because I know in my house, when my wife is happy, my life is better. When my wife is not happy, Brian, it's tough.
You know, you really hit the nail on the head, Jerry, as you so often do. That was certainly something that we had to think through. I had really not planned it to run again. I really enjoyed the first go-round. I was disappointed that I lost, but use that as an opportunity to consider other options, but we feel committed to this area. With speaking with my wife and my children, fortunately my children are a little older now. My children are actually young adults, so I've got a little more flexibility than perhaps you do at home. But yeah, the last time I ran, those 6 months were truly grueling, trying to keep down a full-time job, and then the work with the campaign. And the strategy that I took based off all the advice that I got at the time was to knock on as many doors as possible. And so I knocked on close to 3,700 doors. And so I'm hoping that I can build on that this time. I did have to talk with my wife and try to convince her that this time I won't be quite as pounding the pavement every weekend or weeknight. But yeah, so we certainly have thought about it. I mean, I'm at a point in my career and in my life, just sort of as, you know, as these things go, where I just was really thinking about where I wanted to contribute in the next, 5 to 10 years. And I still feel like it's Charlottesville.
You're getting props from John Duffy, Evan Hansen, Tim Reed, Jehu Martin. You're getting props over there from folks that are living in Belmont. Barry, welcome to the program. Throw this to you. I have said on this program that this election is the most important election in Charlottesville history. You have a city manager search that's going to happen in this term, whoever the two spots that get elected. You have that Market Street parking garage, which is what, a $13-14 million project, in a relationship and a promise to Albemarle County. We got the West Main Streetscape, a $50 million plus project. We got school reconfiguration. Hell, we're coming out of COVID and the budget is in the crapper. We know we're coming out of COVID. We're still trying to find our identity post August 12, 2017. I mean, your thoughts. I mean, this is critically important, this campaign cycle.
Yeah. So, I think with meaning no disrespect or disagreement even, but I think every cycle, that's the assessment that people had. I know 2 years ago, it felt like, I couldn't throw a rock without running into another candidate like myself. And so there was a lot of energy there. People saw how important it was at that point. And little did we know that team would have to deal with COVID. And I think that they've done an admirable job, all things considered. And hats off to them. So yeah, I mean, I think that the opportunities this time will certainly be challenging. Whether it's the most important or not, I don't know. But I do think there are interesting challenges that are real. Particularly the turnover at some of the higher levels in city government, the turnover within city government itself. I think we're really blessed to have found Chip Boyles. He's a fantastic guy. But we have, my own view is one of the most critical things is doing all we can to support the city manager as he tries to stabilize the city and build the sort of professional, people don't like the word bureaucracy, but whatever you want to call it, the professional consistency that we need to do the work we need to do every day in the city. Clearly COVID, I think all of us, me included, were hoping that, after the first of the year, the skies would open, the vaccines would come, and everything would be great. But now we've got these new variants. We continue to have people that are concerned about even getting vaccinated. So I think we're going to be dealing with just the practical impact of COVID for a while, and the impact that has on tax revenues, in which funds obviously the city budget. My sense is that those are going to be the two biggest things.
So throw this to you. So you have the appearance of level-headed and consistent. And
boring.
You see what you get, and you're consistent, and you're like a metronome, like a North Star. And I think those characteristics and that personality makeup is important now, because from a Charlottesville small business owner, okay, from someone who the business identity is tied to the positive and success of Charlottesville. It's I Love CVille is the company here. From the average Joe's perspective, my perspective, the average Joe, it seems like your personality, skill set, the even-keeled, level-headed, we need more of that on the dais right now. I'll let you go anywhere you want with that topic, because I know you're probably thinking that's a loaded statement. What I'm basically saying is, even council has admitted there's been dysfunction on the dais. Even council has admitted that. How do you solve that conundrum?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question, and I appreciate what you said. I hope to be constant, and I hope to be empathetic and kind, whatever I do, and to be level-headed. My undergraduate was in engineering, and I have graduate degrees in the humanities, and I've done most of my career has been project management work, and you just can't succeed with project management if you're not engaged with all of your stakeholders. And the stakeholders in the city are more, as much as I respect and appreciate the activist community, but the stakeholders in our city are people like yourself, as well as the activist community, as well as the Downtown Business Association, as well as everyone in this entire city. Now, anything we do needs to go through the lens of equity. And I hope that I say that with more than just sort of passing reference, because it's important to me. Every person in the city needs to be treated with compassion in a sort of holistic view of their background and how they can be raised up. So yeah, I hope that the sort of various parts of my character and my professional background and the things that I value will resonate with voters. They did last time. I think that it is something that I could bring on board the council. I will say that councilors Payne, McGill, and Snook, I got to be, I don't know if we're friends per se, but pretty close with each of them during the course of the last campaign. And I look forward to, several of them have already reached out to me in terms of how, what kind of information can I help you with, what sorts of, just a general sort of thoughtfulness about wanting to support me as a candidate in terms of having the information I need to speak. And obviously, you have Juan Diego Wade, who's running, who's just a fantastic fellow and my neighbor, in fact.
Really?
Down the road. Yeah, we both live on St. Charles. So I think that there's a, and the other thing I'll say is it seems to me, looking at things in a positive light, it does feel like that council has become a bit more unified with some of the votes that I've seen. And everyone on that council right now cares deeply about the city, which I think is really an important thing to keep in mind.
All right, so give us some perspective here. What do we expect from the Brian Pinkston campaign between now and what? Next step is the Democratic primary, right? And then November 3rd, the general election. What can we expect?
Correct. Well, a good bit about running for office is trying to raise the money that you need to be able to run for office. It's one of the first things I was taught or told when I first first started getting involved in this sorts of thing several years ago was, you're not going to like the fact that fundraising is a good bit of what you have to do as a candidate, but it is, because it takes money to put out mailers, takes money to do the work that it takes. So a good bit of what I'll be doing is working behind the scenes to try to raise the funds that I need to run a campaign. Obviously, in a post-COVID world, I won't be knocking on 3,700 doors this time. So our strategy is still evolving in terms of figuring out how to do that sort of outreach in a different way. I look forward. Last time, that was the part of the campaign I enjoyed the most, actually, even though it was grueling, was meeting people at their front door and listening to what was on their mind. So, yeah, I think you'll see. I plan to be engaged and involved and around. And again, I'm going to try to make this the voter-centric affair, and we're still working out the details of what that'll look like in a socially distanced world.
You know what would be phenomenal with getting your brand out there, and I'm just gonna put this little kernel on your radar here, and this could be a conversation for your campaign manager. The Brian Pinkston Show on the I Love CVille Network between now and the Democratic primary and the general election, and it's you showing who you are. Because I think one of the challenges you're going to have here, Brian, and I'm being a straight shooter here. One of the challenges you're going to have here is you're newer to Charlottesville, certainly compared to say like a Juan Diego Wade.
Right.
I think if people get FaceTime with you, they're going to absolutely be like, this dude's amazing. This guy's A+ people, and it should be on the dais. It's the challenge is getting the FaceTime right now during COVID.
Sure.
What do you think about that topic?
Well, let me think about that. I really appreciate the opportunity and the idea. I'll let me roll that around with my campaign team and see what the consensus is. But thank you for that.
Absolutely, Brian. We'll close with this. Why should folks vote for Brian Pinkston?
It would be my hope that folks would vote for me and give me this opportunity to serve the city, because I do see it as public service. And I think that that's what the city needs and is looking for right now. I believe that I have that combination of both soft skills and hard skills to really be able to lead from day one in a way that will be inclusive, in a way that will be caring, but in a way that will also be competent. So those are some of the reasons why I would humbly ask for voters, both their votes and their support.
Brian, we wish you the best of luck. Anytime you want to come on, you're welcome here. We'll roll out the red carpet. We wish you the best of luck. Go get them, man. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It was our pleasure, Brian Pinkston. Guys, Democratic primaries are around the corner. Think about this from an election standpoint. You got the parking garage that's $13, $14 million on Market Street. You got a promise with the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County to keep courts downtown. That's going to be a major topic. You got a $50 million plus West Main Streetscape project. The next two people that are elected and added to council, there's 2 spots up for grabs, Nikiah Walker's and Heather Hills. The next 2 spots that are up for grabs, they will pick a longer-term city manager. School reconfiguration, budget shortfalls, coming out of COVID, still trying to close the wealth and social justice gaps that exist in Charlottesville. This is the most important election in Charlottesville history. This election this year is the most important election in Charlottesville history. Pinkston, Juan Diego Wade, and Nikiah Walker, 3 we know of. Nikiah Walker has said she's running for re-election. I've heard from others that she's considering otherwise, but until I hear from her on the record that she is not running, I will include Nikiah Walker in the pack of Juan Diego Wade, Brian Pinkston, and Nikiah Walker. Those 3 of running again. We know of 3. Until I hear that Nikiah Walker is not running again from Nikiah Walker, I include her in the 3-horse race for 2 spots. That is Juan Diego Wade, Brian Pinkston, and Nikiah Walker. Until I hear otherwise. This is the most important election in Charlottesville history. Now, I'm going to close this show, and before I do, by playing an interview we did on this show. Would you say her name is Paula, Judah? Paula?
I'd pronounce it Paula.
Paula? Okay, Judah Wickower is our fabulous director. So I'm going to play an interview I did with Paula Christie. When did we do this interview with Paula, Judah? Was it like 4 months ago?
I think it was...
Just off the top of your head. It doesn't have to be exact.
July last year?
So it was July of 2020?
That's my guess.
Okay, thank you. So this is an interview that we played with Paula Christie, who purchased a home with the assistance of the Land Trust. I'm going to play this interview so you can hear from a mother, a single mom. She's a single mom. She is a teacher and a single mom, and she is going to literally explain to you the benefits of purchasing a home through a land trust. The reason we're relaying this to you is because we have the telethon on Friday, February 12th, where we're going to try to raise some money to get 11 units of affordable housing in Charlottesville City. Judah, do you have that sound ready to go?
It's ready.
All right. So this is from July 2020. Please listen. When you hear Paula Christie in this interview, your heart is going to warm. A mom, a teacher, trying to do well by her daughter and build generational resources for her 2-unit family, her and her kid. This interview brought me to tears. Judah, cue it up. And you know what? We'll go straight to the outro after this, okay? 3, 2, 1. All right, first an introduction to you. We just had breaking news. I'm lost for words here. First, let's go to you here. Introduction to you, please, Paula.
Yes, hi. My name is Paula Christie, and I'm happy to be on the show. Thank you, Jerry and Susan, for inviting me to speak about the Land Trust. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to encourage home ownership for the workforce in our community, and I feel that that's an opportunity to grow our community as well from more of a middle class and lower class income.
Amen. And we need that because this community is getting so expensive. And we want diversity in thought. We want diversity in what people look like. We want this to be an approachable community. So introduce us to how you got connected with the Land Trust, please.
Yes. Well, the opportunity came from a neighbor. So once again, just, in terms of how we can help one another, I lived on a street. At that point, it had been for almost 8 years, so had some continuity, and neighbors wanted to invest in both myself and my daughter, Zahara, and encouraged us to apply. There was a federal grant at the time, coupled with the city wanting to invest in us as a family, and the Land Trust seized that opportunity, put those components together, and brought us into a situation where we could purchase a home in the Forest Hills neighborhood.
Oh, that's a beautiful neighborhood, too. Correct me if I'm wrong. You are the third family in the Commonwealth of Virginia to purchase a home in this manner. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what we were told, that we were the third. And, at the time it's groundbreaking, I think, here in Virginia. Richmond followed our model. But just to say that, Charlotte providing, and by doing so, we've led other cities within our state to do that. But it is a model that's well followed in North Carolina, New England. Other states have seen it, again, just to help preserve homes. Our home, could have easily been turned into a rental property. We're just down the street from UVA Hospital, the UVA college campus. Those homes can easily be rented, but then you lose a sense of community. You don't know, your neighbors. There's turnover. The investment in the yard and in the space itself, I think, can sometimes degenerate in those moments. Not always. Our campus and college community is wonderful, but just a balance is something that I'd like to see us strike in our community, to make sure that we have homes where children, like my daughter, can be cared for. We're a mixed race family, and just, looking at what's happening around the world right now, how important it is for her to feel like, neighbors know her name and they want to invest in her future as a, young lady and a young African American lady, what that means. So,
what a beautiful take. That was amazing. You have a way with words as well. We go from one rock star mama bear to another rock star mama bear. How about this in regards to and you've touched on this, future of your daughter, investing in your daughter. I mean, anywhere you want to go on that topic. My kid is 2. Your daughter's much older than my little boy. And I'll tell you what, since I saw our son Trey come out of my wife at Martha Jefferson Hospital, I realized, A, that women were a hell of a lot stronger than men. B, I realized that my love for my wife went to and I'm getting choked up. My love for my wife went to a completely different level. And we will do anything ever for our kids. And it's not unique to us. It's everyone that has kids for the most part. Anywhere you want to go on that topic?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Our yard space, she went from a house where she didn't have a sidewalk. So we, walking to go visit neighborhood friends was not a safe opportunity for her. So we now have a sidewalk in front of our home that allows her to visit a neighbor up the street. They've started their own sewing club, just opportunities that she wouldn't have if we didn't live in a space where, one, other families could exist. Our neighbor across the street, he runs, Nathan Walton runs Abundant Life in the Prospect neighborhood. So just he and his wife Diamond are genuinely good people that I want my daughter to have as role models. And, to say that they are invested in our neighborhood too. The other neighbor that we have across the street, she runs Camp Holiday Trails. So all of these, individuals who own and can, again, are working class individuals, but are doing so much for our, town. And how can we, feed other children into that space that could, for me being a single parent, it's so important to have other role models for her. So I'm grateful.
Well, you are amazing, and you're a popular lady here. We have moms reaching out. I will get to this, guys, here in a matter of moments and relay it to her. You believe in this model of home ownership. Why do you believe in this model of home ownership?
Well, one opportunity that this presents is for individuals like myself who don't have an income to be able to purchase, home space with land, again, because of the, price value that we're at. Price point value is just too high. I pay for my home mortgage, so the actual, fee that I pay is comparable to, high rent in Charlottesville, but still I'm, making myself available now to both a house and land. And that land space is not owned by me. It's owned by the city. So this home will never be anything other than what the city dictates as far as a home that's affordable. I have a 99-year lease, and so that affords me, to live my lifetime throughout that point, and offer it up to my daughter, pass that she has an inherit that. So the house is mine. I do work cooperatively with the land trust, so any changes on the home are sort of a cooperative venture, hopefully with them, in a discussion. And the land, even though the city owns it, I'm welcome to, grow or put things I see fit. So we now have our first garden, which is wonderful. We picked our first watermelon this week. So just great things that, again, benefiting from. Had she not had land space, she wouldn't know how to do those things like grow her own food or share her food with neighbors. The fact that we've been able to give the Waltons some of our tomatoes or cucumbers, their children who are young are also seeing that garden. So lovely things.
How about this? Your daughter, when mom becomes a homeowner, your daughter looks up to you. You're a homeowner, which in a lot of ways, I know it's cliche, but it's true, is the American dream. What did she say when you guys now homeowners to you, Mom?
Well, it was a sort of a beautiful goal for us. My daughter is a groundbreaker herself, needless to say, but she spurs me on to greater things. I'm sure you know that already. Like you said, with your 2-year-old, they inspire you. And she asked for a home, and she said, "Mom," she said, "I'd like a home by the time I turn 8." And you don't want to let your kids down. And so I definitely have her to thank for that. And I know that she, in the way that you said that, looks up to me, is also learning. She's learning about how to take care of a home, how to make repairs, how to look at budgets and finances and know that it's possible, even with just my income and being prudent about our finances, that we're able to do things. And she sees the value of that. And so, yeah, I'm excited that I can be that for her, and likewise that she can encourage me to greater things.
So beautiful. I love this show. I love this network. I love the people in this town. Do you feel, this is a tough question here, do you feel like you're a leader? Do you feel like you're an influencer or making an impact in this town? Because I'll tell you what, you are. I mean, I'm watching people responding to you on the feed here. I'm seeing it. I'm getting the messages here. I mean, I know you're humble, and you may not want to speak about yourself here in front of a lot of people. But the concept of you being a leader here in this community, it is a fact. Anywhere you want to go with that topic.
Well, it's funny, right? You don't always see yourself in those eyes. I'm grateful. I know that the Waltons have had me taking care of their children this year, and I can tear up about that. It means a lot, just to know that you're in a space where you can be trusted, and to have people that are so good-hearted that you can be around, and that your children can share a life with. So I'm grateful that I can lead that in that way, that I know that I'm hopefully giving a gift back as well, and loving their children and the family that they've joined with, the Scotts. He runs Thrive, and so there's some really good people that I don't know if, perhaps we would have met. Charlottesville's a small town, but I love being in a community where there's diversity, and I will say that that's also a gift. I don't want to see our town sort of bought out price point wise, but also that we honor the people who have owned homes in this community, are able to pass that on and keep their neighborhoods diverse, and not just lose out because of finances.
Oh, that was beautiful. Well, one of our missions on this show, and we understand the influence we have in this community with this network, and one of our missions on this show is to continue to bring attention to the need to prioritize diversity in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. My tremendous fear as quality of life and cost of living becomes more and more expensive, and I will cut straight to the chase. My tremendous fear is this community becomes a white, rich community. And as a dad, I don't want that. I want my kid to be challenged. I want my kid to be open-minded, to grow up in this eclectic environment. And I think the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust is literally the land trust model, one of the few answers that we have to stimulate diversity and to stimulate diversity in thought and look and in everything. Why did you just right there get a little emotional? Because once you started, I was getting emotional as well. What was going through your heart and your head?
My daughter's gone through a lot. You know, she's already experienced racism here in Charlottesville. So we know that it's, not as beautiful as it is, and is sort of removed from a city where there might be, a lot more intensity. It carries its own level of intensity. The affluence runs thick, and in that moment, we want to make sure that people are valued. My mom was a housekeeper, and one thing she always taught me is that everybody, should be seen as an equal, in the sense that, we're all individuals, but, I grew up in a home where that was important. My mom's from Italy. She's an immigrant, and so I'm first generation born here. And I know how important it is to not, make fun of people because of their accent, or to belittle people because of anything, And I've taught that to my daughter, and I want to be that in our community, but I know that it is a challenge. I will say it's not just, common sense that everybody would act or treat one another that way. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. And again, in a leadership position, that's where I would love to see, our community recognize not just being kind and saying, well, I'm not racist, but also recognizing what steps can you take that are proactive or that are concrete in building a bridge in that direction.
That was good.
So get it. Yeah.
Your mom would be proud of you.
Thanks.
Do you think about that?
I do. She passed in September of 2008, and that was before my daughter's birth, and so that's a loss for us. So, yeah, I do want to always think of her and somehow pay tribute to her. So, yes.
God, you make me cry over here. Oh, man. How do I do this? How about the land trust? Can we give some attention to the land trust and how they've helped and how we can continue to expand the land trust and help the land trust?
Yeah, so again, it's, that model works. I've definitely told people about it, word of mouth. I try to reach out. I work for Parks and Rec, seeing one of my coworkers and just trying to say, like, you can do this, recognize that it's a possibility. We see opportunities in places like Habitat, and some people, I think, are worried that, I don't qualify income-wise, or, is it a handout that I really am taking from someone else? But the income point is higher for the land trust than it is for a Habitat homeowner. So if your income, range is something that you didn't consider an opportunity, for a teacher, for, police officer, for individuals that are in our community that are, again, not necessarily, struggling all the time, but just knowing that how can I just ensure that I have something that's a home. And that is an opportunity I think the Land Trust offers. You can search for your own home, and as you're looking for your home, you propose it to them, and they review it as a board, and they see along, side the city if it's a land purchase opportunity for them. And if they see it as such, then you can go forward with purchasing your home. And so you have a little bit more individuality than you would say perhaps with a Habitat home. So little comparison, both of them are wonderful. I think either opportunity is great, but again, it gives you an option if you're someone who's trying to search for ways and don't think that perhaps you can do it on your own.
Wow, this has been such a good show. You guys are amazing. Gosh, the feeling you felt when you signed on the dotted line and the home was yours and yours and yours. Empowerment, confidence. What were you feeling? If you could give us the perspective.
I'd say that definitely a sense of accomplishment. We put in a lot of time, and that's something too. You know, if you consider if watching this and you're a homeowner or have multiple properties, like, you know, could you, you know, I know people donate homes or cars or different things. Like, could you consider that this could be an opportunity for the city and for the family? When I did it was difficult trying to find a home that we could qualify for, as well as could work with the program. So I know it was a journey, and we were the third family. I know currently they're building new homes as well. So that's something to consider with the land trust too. They're looking for property where they can build, as well as homes like mine that could actually be rehabilitated. So saving homes in our community that we don't want to just turn into rental properties. So yeah, I felt great. My daughter felt great. We slept on the floor our first night on a blanket and built it from there, right? So wonderful things.
That's amazing. All right, last question. Anywhere you want to go on this topic? Charlottesville's a great place. Charlottesville has a long way to go. I think that's safe to say. I think we have the people in this community to help make Charlottesville, or help take Charlottesville where it needs to go. Anywhere you want to go on this topic, we're our platform of hope and positivity, but at the same time, we're realistic. Anywhere you want to go on this topic?
Well, I think a jumping off point, like I just said, if we're a community, it's about helping hands. Like, I can turn to my neighbor. Like, I've gotten to know my neighbors. I know the neighbors on my street, at least, 13 whose names I can name and wave to and have entered their homes. And so that's something we want to do for one another. Aside from that, I'm specifically looking for ways to help. I'm a single parent, so I know that I welcome assistance. Not having been a homeowner, we can all recognize that things break down, things need repair, things need to be upgraded. And as a local business owner, if you're in construction or if you're in any position, solar power, we're looking at ways to, conserve our energy. Can something like that be donated? If one family in one house got it 1 year and every other business in Charlottesville rotated and took a turn, then it would be years before we'd have to ask again for that original first donor to help. And so the model is, what can you give in respects to upgrading our community? And I know it's difficult. Everybody feels a budget crunch, even in this moment. But there are ways, right, if we all help and look for that opportunity. And if you know somebody, pass that word on to them, and not being afraid to ask and saying, could you do this? Because it's hard for myself as an individual to know that in our community. But again, we all stretch out our hands, we can make a really strong link.
Oh, you are special. Thank you. So grateful for your time. Thank you so much.